Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. It is Keisha Kelly out here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are one day from celebrating 4 years of being Black College Experience on podcast. I have my co-host, Derek Thomas, over in Baton Rouge, and we have a great guest tonight, my alma mater, Coach Dawson Odums, head coach of Southern University's football team. Derek, what's going on?
Man, I'm excited. I mean, no sports, man, going on. So it's kind of boring, but having Coach Odums on, we get a chance to talk some football with the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, Coach Odums, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so first and foremost, thank you for joining us during COVID-19. We hope that you are staying safe. We hope you are doing everything to stay afloat like everybody else that's still stuck in the house. So we hope everything is working out well for you. Derek, do you want to start or?
We can. Of course, Coach, this is Derek Thomas. I'm always at the games. I'm the Valley guy. So, first off, before we get into your years at Southern, let's talk about your Black College experience because you are an alum of an HBCU. So let's talk about your days wearing the football helmet for your alma mater.
Well, first of all, thank you all for having me on. I think it's always a great opportunity when you have a chance to talk about yourself or promote your program, but mostly promote Black colleges. And I think, like you said, I've been a part of it for a long time. I attended North Carolina Central University. I'm a proud graduate of North Carolina Central University, and I think that experience helped me to become the man that I am today. I think you encounter a lot of things at HBCUs that life has to offer, and some of them are challenging. But for the most part, I think the time I had at North Carolina Central University was exciting. It was a fun time to be there. But the life lessons that I learned are some things that I would never be able to trade in and get value for. I think they prepared me for the world ahead. And I think being a part of that camaraderie, playing football at North Carolina Central University gave me an opportunity to find myself. Sometimes you get lost when you go to college, but HBCUs, it help you find yourself, help you find your purpose in life. And I was able to find that purpose and I was passionate about it. And that's serving others. I think when I was in college, I was big on getting guys up, getting them to breakfast. I was big at being a leader and doing the things that you need to do to be successful. And I think I've carried that throughout my life. And I really thank North Carolina Central University for the opportunity. I played for a Hall of Famer, Larry Little. He was special. Bishop Harris is the one that brought me there 1 year into it. He left and went to the NFL. And here comes Larry Little. He didn't really know me and I didn't know him. But he was like a father away from home. And I learned that approach. I think when you're a coach, you have to love your players. And North Carolina Central taught me that. Everybody there, they love the students. It was very important. I think when you go to college, my mom raised me by herself, and I was able to find that fatherly love out of Larry Little, and I try to be that for my players. But that experience at North Carolina Central, I would not trade it in for anything.
What position did you play, Coach?
I went as a quarterback, and then that didn't last long. They meet too long on offense. When I was in college, offensive staff was getting out at, the players on offense was getting out at 10 o'clock, and defense was getting out at 8:30. Curfew was at 10:30, so I had 2 hours to be able to, go around campus a little bit if I was on defense. So I asked could I be switched to defense, and I played defense in high school as well. So I went as a quarterback, then I moved to defensive end and played. Ended up playing nose guard, and my position coach is actually the D-line coach at Alcorn State right now.
So you went to college as a quarterback and then beefed up to a nose guard?
I didn't really beef up. I got stronger. But
stronger.
Some of the weight that I didn't gain outside of football, if I had that when I was it would have been a little different.
And that's something a lot of people may not know about you. Like I didn't know about you. I just assumed that with you being the defensive coordinator and that being your claim to fame, that you came to college as a defender. So finding out that you were a quarterback, that means people need to watch out now because Dawson Odums does know some offense.
Well, I spent a lot of time with our offensive staff. It's just, when you're on defense, you see things a lot different. The same way if I was on offense, I would see the defense a whole lot different. But it's just understanding leverage, understanding angles, understanding, what a team is doing. So sometimes our offense may have some questions about what another team defense is doing, and I'm able to get them some insight on that.
Okay. Keisha?
Coach Odums. Okay, Coach Odums. So you talked about your time there. So now we're going to fast forward to your time at Southern University. And I know that the staff is aggressively recruiting all the time. When I'm on Twitter, I see it all the time. Talk about your recruiting methods and what you guys are doing, being that we are out, or being that the students are out due to the coronavirus. Talk about that mentality right now as far as recruiting efforts.
Well, it's a virtual recruiting war that's going on right now between your competitors. And, between Zoom calls with players, telephone calls with players, evaluating film, that's really the lifeline of the program. And we're able to do that now that we have more time. We're spending more time on it. Our big thing is Offer Friday. We evaluate through the week, and then we release those offers on Friday. And that's been big for us. I think a lot of people understand what we're doing. I think prospects are excited about it, and to wait to see if their name will be called. And it's sort of got an NFL draft feel to it that you don't know. You just got to wait and see if the Jags go call you. But I really think it's giving us an opportunity to see more players and spend more time doing it. Very thorough in the video process, but make sure while I'm on here, I got a chance, and some coaches maybe listen in, that our process is verbal. What we're doing right now is sending verbal offers. Written offers will come, but written offers will not take place until evaluation of a guy's junior year transcript. So we're very big on that, making sure that a guy is academically sound and going to be good enough student to be able to be successful at Southern University. So the two go hand in hand. So right now, everything is verbal and is based on your athletic ability, and then we'll do an academic evaluation at the end of your junior year. And we put the two together. If your athletic ability is as good as your academic ability, then you're somebody that we're going to recruit going into your senior year. And if you're a sophomore, recruit you going into your junior year. So that's what it's really all about, is just making sure that recruiting process, I tell guys all the time, leave no stone unturned. I really think sometimes you can pass up that shiny diamond because you don't see it. Everybody can get the one that they see. But for the Jags, it's all about turning that stone over and looking under to see, can we uncover somebody that may be lost in the rough.
I like that recruiting method. I like that it's like a NFL feel, because I can only imagine how excited those students would be, or those guys would be, rather, waiting on that phone call or waiting to see if their name made the list. Now, as far as it's some new additions and some changes to your coaching staff. Talk about your excitement with those new additions to your coaching staff, Coach Odums.
Well, first, we lost some really good coaches, and I think when you have put the time in and been together with guys for a long period of time, you hate to see those guys go, but it's a blessing to see guys to get a better promotion and get better opportunities, and you're happy for those guys that are moving on. But same way with players. Every 4 to 5 years, new players are going to be coming in. And when you're a winning program, you have to sort of expect that at some point in time, your coaches are going to be moving on. And we was able to put together a staff and fill some holes. And, again, we took our time. I think you got to be patient. And you got to be patient in this process, but you got to have a process. And I had an idea in my mind what direction we wanted to go, bounced a lot of things back and forth, but we was able to land some guys that I think are really good guys, first and foremost, and they fit well with our staff. And that's big. X's and O's are important, but our working relationship supersedes our X's and O's. I think we can work ourselves out of a foxhole if we're together, but it's impossible when you're not. So having the right mindset and the right frame of mind of guys together, I really think it make your staff special. It make going to work fun, and I enjoy going to work with those guys. We was able to bring in guys from different areas. Brought in the guy from the MEAC. Zach Grossi is going to be our offensive coordinator. He coming from Hampton. He's going to do a fantastic job. But you surround them with good people that's going to help. And Brian LePack is going to coach our offensive line. He's coming over from Oklahoma, and they're working together. Brian's going to be the run game coordinator. Zach's our offensive coordinator. Them two are working together. We return Ashton Warner, who's our running back coach, who's going to do an outstanding job. He's bringing in a lot of information on what we used to do, how we used to do it. They looking at it and saying, do we want to keep that or throw that out? And we're not scrapping what we used to do. We're just bridging the gap to be better. And then we brought in Coach Marshall is coaching our wide receivers. Fantastic young man. Coach Marshall understands that the dynamics of coaching is different for every player. And he's able to address the needs of our players individually. He has a unique room. If you've never been around receivers, you know they can be some unique individuals. But I really think he's getting that environment the way he wants that environment to be. And he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He's on them about their discipline. He's on them about their academics. And he's just letting them know he cares about them and he loves them. And I think first and foremost on my coaching staff, that's what you have to learn when you come in the door is that I believe in you telling those players that you love them, and I believe that you show them that you care about them. And at the end of the day, we'll live with the results, but we will not get any results if we don't love them first. And then Coach Rollins came in. Coach Rollins is going to coach our safeties. He was a defensive coordinator at UTSA. He had worked with Coach Washington prior to stint at Tulane. They was able to spend some time together at Tulane and be having a familiar face with him on defense. A great mind. He's also going to handle our special teams, and it's just exciting to be able to have him because I met him before, seen him. He stopped by the office, and we never knew that this year we'd be working together. But I didn't hesitate to hire him when Coach Cordova left, and I put Coach Rollins right in, and we haven't missed a beat. Chris Brown, a former player for me, is coming in. He's going to coach tight ends. Chris is a very intelligent guy. He was an offensive lineman for us at Southern. And I like keeping former players around, and I was able to bring him back. And I'm excited to be able to help him grow in his coaching profession. You can see him; he's soaking up all the information. He's a hard worker. You can see him through social media. He's on Twitter. He's always recruiting. And like I tell people all the time, I'm about your strengths. Okay, you're gonna have strengths as a coach, but as a head coach, I'm gonna help you in your weaknesses. And if those guys allow me to help them in their weaknesses, then we'll continue to grow as a staff. They got some strengths, but also as people, we have some weaknesses. But we're going to work through our differences. We always use love, and we keep that first and foremost. And I'm proud of those guys, and I'm glad they're part of the Jaguar family.
Now, speaking of this current staff, there's a name that before he was defensive coordinator, he was your cornerbacks coach. And as a kid, when I saw this name, I remember that name. I was like, is that who I think it is? Now, are you familiar with the football game Tecmo Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay. So you have Lionel Washington, who was the cornerback opposite Terry McDaniel for the Raiders. So, when I got a chance to meet him, I was like, man, I used to play with you in a video game. But to get back down to who he is as a defensive-minded person, he's a player who had that long career in the NFL. He's a man who knows defense. Talk about what it is having someone on your staff that has succeeded playing football at the highest level. Not just in a video game, but really succeeded playing football for the Raiders.
He's just, first of all, he's a phenomenal guy. He has no ego. He has no pride. And he allowed those guys to have input daily about what they're doing over there, and it's just remarkable to see. And just to know that he played in the NFL, coached in the NFL, and we in turn actually brought him in to do some staff development. We clinic talked with him when he was at Tulane. He was on the board. We was talking defense. And again, those relationships, you don't know where they're going to take you in life. But we was happy that he was available, and I was happy that he accepted the job. Someone had left, and right before we were supposed to get ready to start camp, and he came right in, and the shoe fit. It's rare that you get that Cinderella story, but I'm just excited for him, and we talk a lot because he has a lot of wisdom, and I always say that those guys who's played at the highest level, he's done it as a player and a coach. If I can get 5 to 10 minutes of his time and spend time with him and really pick his brain, but not only as a player, a former player in the NFL, and as a coach, but also as a friend. He's a first-class guy, and if you know him, you sitting there saying, you know what, you're right, coach, and they don't come no humble than Lionel Washington.
Exactly. And, and hopefully I can get a chance to talk to him too, because I would love to just talk more about, his love for being at Southern and being at a place like Southern, because, even though I'm a Valley graduate, I've been in Baton Rouge a long time. Southern University is a unique place. And this is on tape, so y'all got me saying this now. I have to say, y'all growing on me a little bit.
It'll grow on you. This going into my 8th year as the head football coach. Southern grows on you, but crawfish and boiled food speak to you. And
oh yeah,
it's just a great place. And I tell people what makes it a great place is the uniqueness of it, but the people and the love they have for it. You want to coach somewhere where they love football, not where they like football. And here at Southern University, Jaguar Nation love football. And that in itself make it unique for me because, it's rare that you be at a HBCU where they love it like they do at Southern University. You can tell when we're on the road, no matter where we're playing, it's great to see our great fans and the pride that they have in Southern University. And if we take that pride and we continue to spend that pride in a positive direction, then you can only imagine what Southern University is going to become because the people love it. And it's a brand. A lot of people know about it. A lot of young people want to be a part of it. And all we got to do is continue to stay afloat, continue to stay positive. But this place will grow on you. It attached to you. But it also, I know if you don't win some football games, it'll get rid of it. So
right.
At the end of the day, I'm so proud and grateful and thankful to be the head coach of a place where they really love football. And not only that, they love these students and these students athletes at Southern University. Dr. Belton has done a great job. Our athletic director, Roman Banks, has done a great job of just embracing that. And I think when you have that family support and you have the support of the community, then I think you can see why Southern University is on the rise.
Now, I want to take you back because a lot of people may not know this isn't your first experience as being a head coach. Now, you were the interim head coach at Clark, and you didn't have a very good record, but your first year at Southern, you had a losing record, but you have not had a losing season since. I would like for you to, talk about that season at Clark and what lessons did you learn that helped make you a very successful coach at Southern, because to have as many straight winning seasons as you've had and the success that you've had, I mean, what's the secret to your success, Coach? I mean, I don't want all your secrets, but give me some of those secret ingredients to that sauce because, to come from, I know you were interim, but still, what's some of the lessons you learned from that season at Clark that helped make you the head coach you are today?
The same process. When I was at Clark Atlanta, I went through the same process. Tracy Ham was our head football coach. They let Tracy Ham go. I became the interim and led the team to some success. They offered me the job, and in the spring, I accepted the job. And the thing about Clark Atlanta at the time, it was a at will contract. I'm glad that my degree at North Carolina Central, I was taught what at will mean. And at the end of the day, I had gotten a 2-year deal, an offer from Alvin White at Bethune-Cookman. And, I turned down a lot of money to be the head coach at Clark Atlanta on the at-will contract to go and work and learn a lot from Alvin White, who blessed me with a contract. And I just think that if you're going to put somebody in charge of something, especially a business such as football, then that person should not have to work without a contract. That was my belief, and I stood behind my belief, and I didn't let money change that belief. And I went on to Bethune-Cookman, and I think that lesson is something that stood with me today. And I didn't chase being a head coach. I happened to be in the right place at the right time to have an opportunity offered to me. But I just believe that decision at Clark Atlanta really strengthened me and gave me the belief that I needed, that say that, you know what, I'm just not going to sell my soul for a job. And I stood by that. And I went to be a defensive line coach at Bethune-Cookman, which I enjoy every day. There's no greater guy than Alvin White. We had fun. We laughed. It was a great time. And I learned a lot. He's one of the greatest defensive minds that I ever had a chance to be around. And that led me back to being an assistant. And from there, I ended up at A&T, and things didn't work out there. And Coach Mitchell brought me to Southern. And the same thing happened to Coach Mitchell. And I got named the interim. And I thought the interim was my interview, but it wasn't. When they was going through the search, I had the interview for the job at Southern. I went through the interview process, and at that time, Broussard was our interim. He was our athletic director, and he stood by me, and he gave me a chance, and I'm forever grateful for that. When a lot of people didn't want me, he said, it's something about this guy. In the pressure situation, this guy went 4-5 as the interim head coach, and he beat some teams that we hadn't beat in a long time, and he stood on the table for me, and for that, I would be forever grateful. Not a lot of people have the people in their corner to stand up for you so that you can get an opportunity in life. And he stood up for me in a crisis situation. Anybody can stand up for you when it's good. And I told myself that I will not fail as a head coach. And my secret sauce is, if you want something to be successful, keep the Lord involved. And when I was here at Southern University, Pastor Ellis used to come over when I was on Stump Mitchell's staff, and we'd sit in chapel once a week, and it would be me. It was me, and maybe 2 other people at the most. Coach Nancy was there coaching softball, and it was just me and her and Pastor Ellis. And when Coach Dooley was there, he spent a little time there with me. He would come in on chapel. I just believe that if you can give God some time doing your work schedule, don't block him out, keep him a part of it, then success will find you. And to this day, every Wednesday, we take an hour and we have chapel. And it's not mandatory, but I just believe in you give honor and thanks. It's hard for a lot of our guys to get to church on Sunday because we have to be in the office, but we find our way to church on Sunday. But everybody know by the time you get to hump day, all hell done broke loose.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit more. And I created all that to us having the success that we have. And we're going to keep doing it. And it's been successful. And I don't know if that go equal wins, but I know it equals peace. And as long as we got peace, we feel like we can accomplish anything in life.
Right. Now, after that first season, you won a SWAC championship. Went 9-4, 7-2, and you won a SWAC championship. And then you went back-to-back, and then you lost the SWAC championship. But let's talk about winning that first SWAC championship of your career. What did it feel like to, I guess, like you said, your AD stood by you, and you rewarded him with a SWAC championship?
Well, it was for Southern University. They had endured some tough times, and those players rallied together. was a group of guys that they weren't gonna be denied. They rallied around each other, and they learned to follow the process. It's hard to get a new group of guys to follow a new process. But for those guys to buy into what we were trying to get them to do, and it took some time, but we got rolling and started playing really, really well. And we had some really good players during that time. And just to see the smiles on their face, not only our players' face and coaches' face, but to see Jaguar Nation ecstatic about being at the top again. And that was a driving force to get back. And that's always a driving force to keep getting back and hopefully again to celebrate it and beat it.
Keisha?
Okay. You have this motto that you always say, chop wood, carry water. I even got a shirt with it on it. Talk about that motto and how you came up with it or where it came from.
Yes, ma'am.
Coach, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It got cut out. What was your question?
Oh, so I said you have this motto, chop wood, carry water, that you often say. Talk about that motto and where it came from and how you came about with that motto and what it means.
It's a book that we was reading. Metcalf was the author. You see him all the time. He's on social media. And that was actually the name of the book, Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it's just it's a story about process, about a little small village where a young boy wanted to be a samurai. And he just had to learn that there's some things you had to go through before you could master becoming a samurai. And one of the stories in the book is about how the village had to chop wood because in the winter they was going to need that wood. There was no running water, so they had to carry their water in. So he wanted to skip that important part of the process. And our sensei would always say to him was, son, you got to chop wood, carry water. And it didn't register with the young boy until the later on in the book, and you begin to see different stories like that. And that just became a theme for us. And I use it all the time to our players. And before we start first week of camp, I have every paragraph in the book. I have every chapter rolled up in paragraphs, and we go through the entire book in those paragraphs and with our team. And there's different stories in it to be able to reflect on what it means to follow process. And that's really what chop wood, carry water is that no matter what, just keep chopping wood and carry water, you'll eventually get where you need to be. And it resonates with our players because we go through that with them and able to fill them in each and every year.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense. I never knew. I know I would see it, but I was like, I never knew where it came from. And of course, it's just kind of distinct now. I say it's your signature line. Besides "Go Jags," it's like a signature tag. Now, Coach Odums, a lot of times, and we had this conversation before. Talk about the importance of these athletes choosing HBCUs, because we know a lot of times we look at these other programs, we look at PWIs, we look at other conferences, and these students will think that they have a better shot of quote unquote going pro or being seen or outshining if they go to these other colleges. Talk about the importance of choosing HBCUs and still being able to be seen, to be noticed for scouts or anybody even see you. Talk about the importance of that and still getting, a stellar football career playing at HBCUs.
Well, I think times have changed. And I think as people, we don't see that sometimes, or we don't realize that these young men have choices. And it's no different. It's no difference than you buying a car. If you have the money to buy a Mercedes, you may not buy a Honda, and that's what these players have. They have choices. I don't think is not them choosing HBCUs. I think is them choosing a quality of life and trying to have a better quality of life. And that's not saying you're not going to get a better quality of life going to a HBCU. But at the end of the day, these guys are not blind. They know the difference between dollars and cents. And sometimes that leads to a bad decision. I think they fail to realize that you can go to a HBCU and have a great experience and still reach your goals that you have set for your life. But that comes with choices. But I really think that a lot of guys are starting to see that. We get a lot of those guys on the back end. They go Power 5, they may go mid-major, and their experience may be not what they thought it was going to be. They may not be playing as much as they thought they should be playing. And our phones will ring, and we'll get those guys on the back end. And we don't knock them for going. Our doors are always open, and what we try to do is build relationships. All we ask is that high school coaches let us talk to them, even though they may be going Power 5. If you can see that transfer portal has got somebody going in it usually daily. So we just want to build a relationship. We don't want to change a kid's mind, but we know that if something happened and he get disgruntled, he go probably to wherever he has the best relationship. And we just want a fair opportunity to build a relationship. That's it. We're not trying to stop a kid from going to Georgia, Tennessee, Notre Dame, but we just want to be able to shake his hand and be able to look him in the eye and say, if things don't work out, we got a home for you. And that's what it's all about. We're not trying to say you got to go to a HBCU, but if you choose one, it'll be the difference of your life, because it will teach you some things, and you will have to go through some things that's going to make you grateful. And I really think that's what the experience is all about. You have a different outlook on life when you go to a HBCU, and you understand that. And it don't make you no lesser. It don't make you no better. It's just a different road that you got to take to get the same opportunities as everybody else. But at the end of the day, the pride that's part of our HBCUs, we know the history of them. That's why we're so proud about them. We're attached to that history. It's a part of who we are. And we didn't always have opportunities to go to PWIs, and we hold on to that pride. But we can't be blind that young men do have choices. But at the end of the day, HBCUs are one of those choices.
Now, speaking of – go ahead, Kels.
I'm going to say I completely agree. And I think on that flip side, I think that's just one of the things that's true. They have those choices. I think my only thing is just make sure you let them know, or I'm just saying in general, just we have to let them know, okay, this is one of your choices as well. Okay, right. Like you said, if it doesn't work out here, we have a home for you. So right. I think that's just one of the things. We just have to let them know that they have choices. HBCU is actually one of your choices. So they just have to know the choices on the table.
That's right.
Go ahead, Derek.
Now, speaking of PWI, this spring, a certain PWI, well, you all agreed to let them have their spring game on the Bluff. Now, would that have included any joint practices between the Jaguars and the Tigers?
No, it wouldn't be no joint practices.
Okay.
NCAA,
I was just curious because that was a lot. Because that event kind of garnered a lot of attention between Tiger fans and Jaguar fans alike. And it was good to see, AD Banks, and have these two teams, I guess agree, because I would love to see Southern play LSU. I mean, you in the same town. What do you think about that future matchup with the other coach? Because you're our coach.
And our relationship, Coach O has done a fantastic job over LSU, and you just have to know him as a person. He loves Louisiana, and he loved Louisiana football. He loved the people. He's a product of the state himself, and that carries a lot of weight. And he's done a lot of things for the small schools in the state. They open their doors up, and you don't get that a lot. We welcome that. Anytime we need to talk about anything, I got his personal number. I can contact him. He's a great man when it comes to being a pioneer for the state of Louisiana. He's a fantastic person, and I just enjoy being around him. He got a lot of energy, and his house is our house, and I'm proud of that, because I think in order for us to be successful at recruiting in the state of Louisiana, we follow our flagship, and it's about keeping the boot clean. All these schools coming in and picking out our players, and you got to play against them, and they go into some of these other schools. We started having camp, and you see all LSU coaches at our camp, and we go to other schools' camp. We at La Tech camp, we at Tulane camp, and that's whoever want us to come. And what we're trying to do is put our face in front of so many guys to say, you know what, you don't have to leave this state to be successful. It's enough schools here. Just pick one, and success will find you. And that's so great. And we're just thankful for that, because that relationship has done nothing but get better each and every day. And I'm proud of him. I'm happy for the success. Again, when it's tough to swallow, when you may not be everybody's first choice, but I'm glad things worked out for Coach O and the LSU Tigers. An unbelievable year, great success. It's great for our city. It's great for our state. Anytime one of our teams in this state is having that kind of
So we have some callers on. There's a guy on that I'm thinking you probably going to want to hear from. Willie Scott, how you doing?
Hey, I'm just listening in.
What's going on? Will? How you doing, man?
All right, CJ Pierre, do you have any questions for Coach O before we get back to? Okay, all right. So now with you saying that, you know, you and Coach O have a pretty good relationship, and y'all want to keep the boot clean. I mean, with some of his players, I know you got one. I think you got a transfer from LSU last year, I think, correct? The defensive lineman, I think. So is that something we could see if a player, like you said, you know, gets the bright lights and realizes, hey, I want to go play? Is that a pipeline we could potentially see from LSU to Southern?
I wouldn't say a pipeline, because what you have to understand about most of those guys that go to Power 5 is that their option is a lot of times to be re-recruited. I would say it would be an open door for conversation. I don't think nothing is wrong for them to have a player and for us to call and say, hey, is that somebody we need to be looking at, or what is this guy planning on doing? It's not just, hey, go recruit a guy. Most of those guys are going to sit down and they're going to talk to the coaches and they're going to have a plan. And once you figure out what that plan is, if they plan on going down and playing right away, you know, your next question will be, how can we get in on that guy? If it's to go to JUCO and be re-recruited, it's okay. What JUCO is he going to? We'll follow him. So a lot goes into that decision. It's not just that they leave school and go. As you can see, quarterbacks that have left there, they went on to other mid-majors and continued to play. So I really think it's about having an open door conversation. And if it's somebody over there that they highly recommend that we could get, and we got a good enough relationship where they would feel good enough to send that player to Southern University. And to me, that's what it's all about. Recruiting is all about relationships. As long as we keep that open door relationship with LSU and their staff, I really think it'll help us at luring players if those players are available.
All right. Now, the past 2 years, you have won the Bayou Classic and have earned the right to play in the Swaggin' Championship game. But a certain team, a pest of a team that I don't too much care for, is just in everybody's way. Coach, what can we do to get past that old team over there in Longman?
Well, I really think it's about timing. And the success that we've had in our program, people realize that the deficiencies that we've had to overcome to have that success. We just in the second year removed of having our full set of scholarships.
Right.
So you're starting to see a different level on the field. So you see the gap really closing. Being able to have those extra scholarships is really been the difference. But that gap was created, and you had to continue to work hard to overcome that gap. But I really think we closed the gap. They're a good football team. Coach Menard does a great job. But again, it's decade. If you look at the history of the SWAC, it's usually decade dominance, and usually one of the 4 or 5 teams has been in charge of that decade. But now it's a new decade.
That's
and
right.
We understand that our record against them is not as great as we would like it. But we also understand that a lot of those losses came during some difficult times. But we were very competitive, and we were right there. Didn't play our best game in the championship game, and the outcome probably would have been different had we played our best game. But I really think it's a mutual respect between the two programs because, we've been there. We done had to fight those guys a lot, and they've had the upper hand. But I really think going into 2020 in this next decade, I really think you're going to see a shift in the conference. It's been dominated really by Alcorn on the east and Southern and Grambling on the west. And now I think you're going to see a more competitive east, and the west is going to always be the Wild Wild West. I think you got some teams over there that's going to be in competition for it.
Because right now in the West, of course, you got your Jaguars, and then you have your annual opponent in the Granddaddy, Grambling State and Bayou Classic. And then, of course, Prairie View, has been hanging around. And Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Texas Southern is still there. But right now, I think the West is Grambling and Southern. Right now, you've had the upper hand the past 2 years, and I'm pretty sure the Jaguars are happy about that. But with me being a Valley graduate, I grew up a Jackson State Tiger, so I definitely want to see you get over the hump against them Braves if it's a repeat or a three-peat round 3 with Jaguars and the Braves. So I'm probably going to catch some flack for that, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm down here. I cover Southern. I've come to respect you and admire you as a man, as a coach, and just seeing the things that you do. I mean, I can tell kids, you can't help but admire the work that you do, the product that you put on the field, the way your players play for you. We've interviewed a couple of your former players, and like you said, they love you, not just as a football coach, but also as a father figure. We had Leonard on a couple of years back, and we know the career that he had at Southern. It's just a testament to the man that you are and the football coach that you are, and I'm pretty sure, Southern needs to keep you as long as they want to keep you. They don't need to let nobody snag you away, because a good football coach like you, as long as you've been winning, some teams like to come calling. But I'm glad to see that you have decided to stay at Southern and that you've, I guess, calling it home and that you're looking to, continue the foundation that you've built at Southern with these consecutive winning seasons. Not many coaches can say that. I know I can't. Because unfortunately we've been bottom feeders. So it kind of feels good to be associated with a winning team for a change for me,
Well, I appreciate those kind words. I think it's a lot of hard work, just having the right people in your corner. I tell people all the time, this is a job that requires a lot of great people in your corner. This is not a one-man show. When you talk about football, a lot of moving parts makes this program what it is today. And we've been blessed, we've been fortunate, and it's hard to win. It's very hard to win. And to do it on a consistent basis is why I admire winners. I really admire multiple champions, because as a coach and as a former player, I understand how hard it is to win on a consistent basis. And not a lot of teams do that year in and year out. And it's hard to get to that. And when I first came into the conference, Jackson State was probably one of the dominant teams. And Coach Comagee had them winning on consistent basis. I mean, every year you wake up, Jackson State going to another championship. Now, Jackson State wasn't winning those championships, but it's hard to get to a championship. It's even harder to win it. But to be knocking on the door every day, you know, every year you're knocking on that door, eventually that ball will bounce your way if you keep getting there. But you look at the teams in my 8 years, it hadn't a whole lot of teams been to that championship. And it's hard. And we value that as coaches. And you got to work extremely hard. You got to be lucky. You got to be blessed to be able to walk out there as one of the last two teams standing. And we're grateful for that. But we're grateful for the people in our corner that help us each and every day to put this product on the field. It goes beyond our coaching staff and our players, our administration, our student body, you know, all the way down to the people that cut grass. I mean, they're all part of our program. And we value those people because we understand that it's a lot of hard work, but everybody reached the reward of that hard work. And just getting our guys to understand that on a day-to-day basis is really one of the challenges that we have, to get them to understand that this is an honor. This is an honor to be a collegiate athlete at Southern University. So take pride in it and don't sell the people short.
I mean, Kels?
And I do. Thinking about that, I remember when you came to Atlanta. I remember when you were on your I think that was the Ozone tour. You were on recruiting tour, or you were traveling. And I remember you saying that exact same thing. It's all about timing. And in my mind, that when you came, in my mind, I said, Southern will win Bayou Classic in November. And it happened. Because you said it's all about, you was like, it's just timing. Everybody has time. Everyone has their time. Now, I didn't know it was going to happen back-to-back, but it happened back-to-back. And then going back to that 2013, I still remember that 2013 championship, trading back and forth, trading, scoring with Jackson State. I remember that because I remember sitting watching that game, and we were watching it with a bunch of Jackson State alumni, and I remember that feeling. I remember sitting there, and I can still remember your last expression. I still remember that last face, that last look when it was all said and done, because we was tired like we was playing. So I still remember that look, and still being able to brag against Jackson State, of course, but not reveling on that. So now that the students you're separated from the students, how are you keeping those players motivated?
Well, I tell you, motivation is recruit players that are self-motivated makes motivating them during times like this a whole lot easier. And having a culture in place that guys understand no nonsense. If we give you a workout, let's get your workout done. Grades, take care of your grades. I believe in a crisis situation such as we're facing with COVID-19, it's time to slow down. We cut our focus down. Each month is usually about two things. We're focusing on two things that we're trying to be great at. When you looked at the month of April, we were focusing in on workouts and grades. That's it. That's all I wanted our coaches talking to our players about. Making sure if they needed to turn in some documents, whatever it is, let's just focus on that. Now that we're out of that, we're into the month of May. Now we're focusing on workouts, and we getting ready we just finished out development. We finished that up next week with special teams, but we're starting to introduce basic football to our players. I believe in recall. I believe that my thing is, what I tell our coaches is, how long would it take a child to learn their ABCs if they never could go home and practice? And it's the same way with your timetables. How long would it take for you to learn your timetables if you couldn't go home and practice? Well, let's apply that to the situation that we're in. How long would it take our players to learn football if they can't practice? And just giving them those scenarios mean we have to slow it down for them, and we want to help them with their recall. So in order for you to recall information, you have to give them that same information over and over and over again. So that's what we're doing, and we're slowing things down for our players. And we're not making this a pressure felt time because it's already enough pressures on all of us. We don't really talk about when we go kick off. We don't talk about if they're going to let you back on campus. At the end of the day, all they're waiting on for me to tell them is, Coach, when we got to be back. I get a text all the time, Coach, is it June the 7th or August the 7th? I gave my guys 2 dates. Well, don't look like the first date we're going to make it. So we on to the second date. Cool, Coach. And so they just want to understand that communication. And I think that's what makes great leaders during a crisis situation is that you understand that let's not speed things up and add more pressure to the people. And that's how we feel about our football team. All I want to know about is the well-being of these guys and the 2 things that we're giving them each and every day in the month. So if they can focus on those things and not worry about so much, then we have a chance to get a good product back. Hopefully we've done a great job recruiting and that our guys are staying self-motivated to be able to do whatever Coach Emma was giving them on their workouts. But when I talk to them, we have a team meeting tomorrow. I called our captains the other day and just checking on different segments. They're saying, Coach, for the most part, all the guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's when you know that you have a good product when they're checking on each other and making sure they hold each other accountable. And that's special. And when you have that, you got a chance to be successful.
That's awesome there, Coach, especially with it being a virtual setting. You know, this is unprecedented. I mean, of course, you know, some guys respond to in-person motivation. But right now, everyone's having to be motivated the virtual way through Zoom. And it's good that you have those captains holding the teammates accountable because when it's time to get back on the football field, you're going to expect the guys to come in ready to rock and roll because, you know, this is unprecedented territory that we've been in. We've never had to deal with a pandemic like this that has affected our lives, what it has. So, you know, I know you're looking forward to getting back to in front of your players so that you can ensure that they're doing what they need to do. But I'm pretty sure your captains are taking care of that. And when you have your Zoom calls with your coaching staff, I mean, this is just unprecedented that, you know, we've never really we've never lived through a pandemic before. So, you know, all we can do is pray, like you say, keep the Lord in it and just hope that whenever everything opens back up that, you know, we can get back to football and enjoy it as fans. And you enjoy doing it, your duty as being a football coach, and that the young men can get back in school with their studies, continue moving toward graduation, and play some exciting football on the bluff. Kels?
All I have for Coach.
All right, well, Coach Odums, I want to thank you for joining us on Black College Experience. You know, I know I always do a little running joke about the Stump Bowl getting you where you are, but the thing is, even if that didn't happen, you probably would have been a head coach anyway, and with the success that you have had at Southern is glad that they have you. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If you ever leave Southern, you know, you will take you at Valley. You know, I mean, I know Coach Dance is doing a good job up there, but if he ever decides to leave and you want to change, you want to challenge, we'll take the Carrollwood, Charwood, Carrollwood at Valley.
Don't nobody want to go to Valley?
Oh, hush, Willie. All right, Kel.
Valley, you got cockroaches.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Kel.
All right, Coach, before you get out of here, down the tennis one time. Go Jags.
Go Jags.
That's it.
All right, we out of here. Peace out.
All right,
everyone.
Good
have
night.
a good rest of your week.